is Software Meets Business, a podcast sponsored by Head Channel.
Today I am incredibly excited to have Matt Grennan, the founder of Sharpish, on our little podcast. Hi, Matt.
Hello, how you doing?
Good. I suppose kind of the thing to get started with is just kind of tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to come up with the idea for Sharpish.
Yeah, cool. So I was previously before we started to develop Sharpish, I was a construction company owner. I had between 20 to 25 guys working for me, and I faced a lot of problems when it comes to staffing jobs, especially finding the right type of staff. People calling in sick on on a Sunday, at maybe 8 o'clock in the evening, and not being able to find people to start for the next day. So the main sort of problems that I faced were the punctuality of the staff, people arriving to site underqualified. So you can have someone call up, they sound amazing on the phone, and then they turn up, they haven't got the right tickets to drive a digger or something along those lines. And then also people taking sick days, as I said before, so people can call you up at 7 o'clock on a Sunday evening. So I'm not going to be into work for the next 3 or 4 days, which obviously causes a massive problem if you need them in for the next few days.
Cool.
So I decided to develop something that would solve all the problems, that we came to when it comes to staffing jobs. So with regards to punctuality of the staff, we solved that by adding a geo-fencing location data part of the app, so people can see where you've clocked in and clocked out. We've also added preloaded qualifications available, so you can log into the app and you can make sure the person's got the right tickets for the job before they turn up to the job. And then we've also got a massive database of tradespeople that are ready to work. So if you were coming to a point where you're coming up to an end of a job and you're going to start getting penalised, if you don't hit a target, you can go onto the app, send a notification out to all the bricklayers or labourers or whatever you need in the area, get a response, and then staff your job that way.
Right.
It's kind of like the platform's kind of like an Uber or a Deliveroo, but for the recruitment platform, recruitment sector, should I say?
Great. Okay. So, how did you you came up with the idea and you went, okay, we need an app. Like, how did you get started kind of putting that together and getting it built?
So I'll tell you the story of how the idea came about. So I had a concrete pour going on in the morning. So we had about 27 or 28,000 pounds worth of concrete being poured.
Yeah.
In the morning, 5 guys don't turn up. Now the problem that you face there is because you've ordered the concrete, if you don't pour the concrete, you're still getting charged for the concrete, and it's getting either poured out on your site or poured out and removed from the site. So you're still getting charged regardless. So I had the rigorous task of finding 5 labourers, which we managed to do in them. But I thought a lot of people will get a bit of bad news in the morning, and they won't be able to staff the jobs. That's where the idea came from.
Right. And so when you had that idea and you thought, did you think, we need an app at that point, or what was the sort of process?
I knew that we needed some sort of platform, yeah. So that was my initial thought, is to get the way it started out was just for sick days.
Right.
So it would have just been if people are calling in sick, you can find someone local in the area that can come in and fill the job. But it then further developed into we can have this as a full recruitment platform.
Yeah, I get it. So then, what did you do? So did you find a developer?
Yeah. So my technical background is I can probably just about use a calculator. that's sort of my tech background. So I just went online and looked for a company that built apps, messaged I think 2 or 3 companies, got along with one of the guys from one of the companies. I was actually looking to develop an app years ago, and I spoke to this company about 3 years prior, but I didn't go through with it in the end.
Right.
Started talking to them, then got an initial. They put a package together for £8,000. I was like, okay, cool. They said that'll get you to a point where you can start raising money. And so I was like, all right, cool, let's go ahead with it. So that took like 2 or 3 months, and they gave you just sort of a basic outline of the app, some slides that you could show to investors, help you with the pitch deck and stuff like that. So yeah, sort of just approached the company. They helped me get it to a point where you can start going and looking for investment.
Yeah.
Got to that point, and then I managed to raise £500,000 off the back of what they produced for me, should I say? Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So just talk me through that a little bit in a bit more detail, because I'm sure everyone listening is probably going to be interested. So that 8 grand got you a deck and some visuals of what the app was going to look like, and kind of like the journey flow through.
Luckily, my best friend, he does media marketing, so he put a lot of the stuff together. So that the app development company was putting like the UX and UI design together, to show how the app would work, and then my friend was working alongside us to build some like sort of visual videos, which you can see on our Instagram or on YouTube as well, which basically outlines how the app works, so people can see from start to finish what sort of service they're going to get. But it's a really, really good explainer video if people have a watch of that. But yeah, so they sort of put the basic stuff together, and then my friend put some
kind of animated it all together into a jazzy.
Animated it, and just made it a visual. Made a video for us which explained and outlined everything that the app does, or everything that we wanted it to do. Some of the things, as you'll find out later, we sort of had to cancel because they weren't doable, which is probably my lack of experience in the technology sector. Okay. I thought everything was possible, but yeah.
Well, we always say that everything's possible with enough time and money, but we'll get to that bit. So so you spent the 8 grand. Then how long did it take you to get investment? Was it quite quick, or did you have someone lined up?
Yeah, it wasn't that quick. So I think from the initial handed over that 8 grand, they probably took 3 months to get all the pitch deck together and the UX UI design. Mm-hmm. Or it wasn't a full UX UI design. It was just like some basic slides to show how the app would work from start to finish. It was good, but it wasn't amazing. But yeah, from there was probably about 3 months, and then probably a month after that, I raised the first couple of £100,000.
Okay.
Which was through my main investor, Matt Paul. He's been great. I literally pitched the idea to him. And then the next money he sent like the first tranche, so he sent like the first 40 grand the next day and was like, look, crack on with it, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
He then introduced me to 2 of his friends who have invested probably about another 150 grand, and Matt's lent the company another 120 grand, so near enough £500,000, probably 470 grand we've had in it, 480 grand.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so that money, then you got the development firm to actually build the apps, right?
Yeah, we done a few things with the money. So we brought a recruitment agency that was closing down. We brought them so that we purchased all their data. So we've then got a catalogue of something ridiculous, like 140,000 points of contact in construction companies up and down the UK.
Right.
Yeah, which we haven't utilised that yet because we're looking to get a lot more users on the app before we start doing that, because we don't want to come into a job where someone needs 60 people or 100 people, and we can't supply the labour. So once we've got about 1,000 people on the app at the moment, 1,000 tradespeople on the app. When we get to maybe 4,000 or 5,000, then we'll start utilising that database.
Yeah, and so. So just talk me through, but the development of the app, because obviously you got to a point where you got the money, you only had the UX UI. So how did the app development go?
So basically, we went for some meetings up in London with the company Hyper. Sat down to them. This is one of the mistakes, not mistakes, but one of the things. I thought you come up with a great idea, and 6 months later, someone's going to hand you a check for £5 million. But it's not. It doesn't work like that. You end up doing probably more work than the people actually developing the app. Yeah. So the development team, I explained the idea to them, and then they sent me over like 12-page documents or 20-page documents. Right, you need to fill all this information out so that we get everything correct. So I was like, Okay, all right, sweet. I thought I just gave you the idea, and you were gonna come back to me in 4 months' time, and the app would be ready, and we'll start making loads of money. But it doesn't work like that. There's a lot of time and a lot of effort that goes into building, not into building, but from the founder's side to make sure that everything's correct.
Yeah.
And even when you do, you do write everything down for them, sometimes they miss stuff or they don't budget in and they forget to put stuff in and things like that. It can become very stressful.
Yeah. So was it particularly stressful? I mean, like, what, you went up for a few meetings in London, and then did they
It was extremely stressful. So just to give you a brief outline of the timelines from when we went up to their meetings in London, probably it took maybe 2 months for them to come together with a solid plan.
Yeah.
Went for a meeting up in London again, and they were like, right, look guys, we've got 3 packages for you. We've got the bottom package, which doesn't include a few of the features. We've got a middle package, which include like 80% of the features, or we got all singing, all dancing, where you get 100% of your features. So me and Matt Paul, we had a discussion. He was like, look, we want the full package. So we're like, okay, cool. They were like, all right, we want 200 grand. We were like, okay, this seems very expensive to develop the app. I can't remember what figure we settled on. I think we settled on maybe 140 grand or 150 grand in total. We were like, okay, yeah, cool, get it done. Their development is, so they're a London-based company, but their development team's out in China.
Yeah.
And obviously I've got to work closely with these developers. So I had my office in down near Brighton, which is the office was in Hove, and when we started working with the developers, I didn't realise they set me up a Slack channel.
Yeah.
I didn't realise I was going to be getting messages at like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. So I ended up for about 7 or 8 months moving into my office because, yeah, I know, and having to go to the gym to shower and stuff like that because I'm starting work between 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
With the Chinese development team. Then my friend, he's in Bali, so I'll speak to him about the marketing from like maybe 8 o'clock in the morning till 9:30 in the morning. Then I'm doing all the UK stuff, so I'm contacting companies, asking them, would you use this app, pitching the ideas to them, getting some feedback. And then my investors, they were over in America at the time. 2 of them were over in America, one's still there. Matt's traveling in, I think, Africa or Asia at the moment. So I was then speaking to the investors in the evening, and that was running me up until 10 o'clock at night. And then I couldn't sleep from 10 maybe till 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning, and then my phone starts going off. Yeah, it starts again. So I'm getting like 4 hours sleep, and that went on for about 9 months. Then we get an email, right, your app's ready. So I'm like, okay, great. All the hard work's been worth it. So we're looking through. They're like, can you check for bugs? They're like, we're going to do a whole month of just bug fixing and checking stuff. I'm looking on there, I'm thinking, okay, right, there's no tracking system, there's no clocking in, no clocking out system. People aren't getting notified for job. There was like the 4 main features that we'd asked for that they hadn't put into the app. So I contacted them, and they were like, right, you signed the contract, you were happy with this, with what you've got, with what we've produced for you today.
Wow.
So I went back to Matt, and I was like, mate, did we sign a contract when we went out to London to say we were happy with this? He was like, no, absolutely not. So I messaged the development company. I said, can you please send me a copy of the contract to say that we've approved, having the app built without these features added into it.
Yeah.
They just called back. They said, well, look, you didn't actually sign a contract, but you've sent us the money now. So we're like, okay,
wow.
Where do we go from here? You've basically what we've been selling to these companies that's going to be available is now not available, and it's the main selling point. Out, they basically developed something that was like probably 50% ready to go to market.
Right.
So then we go up for a meeting in London, and the CFO of their company, so he's very rude. He was like, look, we need another 40,000 off you, or you can forget it. You can just go to another development company. So we're like, okay, all right.
Wow.
And it's very stressful. So luckily we raised some more money.
Did you have the intellectual property at this point? Did you own? Did you have the source code, access to the source code, and
No.
so they basically kind of said, well, we've got the source code at that point, did they?
Let me just interrupt this podcast for a few seconds. I just wanted to let you know about our wonderful sponsor, Head Channel. Head Channel builds software engineering teams, and they've been building software for clients since 2003. They have a very simple engagement model. Either they develop and run it, or they build it and you run it. They could also help with finding a fractional CTO if you need that support. You can find them at headchannel.co.uk. And now back to the podcast.
They didn't say that. They didn't particularly say that. They were just like, if you don't want to work with us, don't work with us. But we're in a position where we were in such a flow, and we were ready to launch soon, and we'd already this point we probably spent maybe just over 200 odd grand or 300 grand. So we're just like, okay, 40 grand's 40 grand. If it's going to get us to the point where we need to be in the next month or 2 months, that's absolutely fine. Okay, let's do it. So Matt put in another load of money. Or the other 40 grand. It took us maybe another two months to get to the point where we needed to be. And they were like, okay, your app's ready. Okay, checking it. Okay, this still hasn't been done. The tracking system still hasn't been done. We've paid you this other money. They're like, oh, right, the tracking system, we're going to have to build you a special tracking system. It's going to cost another 36 grand.
What?
So at this point, we're like, right, something's not right here.
I got to tell you, this is not how software gets built normally.
No, we know that now. We know that. So they're like, okay, we need another 36 grand. So we're like, okay, this is something fishy here. So we say to them, look, we're not happy with the quote. We're going to go to a couple of other companies and see how much it's going to cost for us to get the same thing built somewhere else. And that what they were trying to charge us £36,000 for, we ended up getting developed for £4,000.
Right. Okay.
So they were trying to charge nearly 10 times the amount. So we took the app from that company, and we're with a very good company now. They respond. I literally, if I message them now, they respond within about 30 seconds. They're great, and they charge next to nothing. They've done a load of work for us the other day, which took maybe 2 weeks, and we got a bill for £300. With the company we were using before, we would have probably got a 10 grand bill.
Yeah, they kind of had you on the hook, basically.
They had us on the hook, and we were also in the motion of we're ready to launch. Everyone's gassed up. We all want to launch next month. If we go around looking for another development team, or we try and pass it over to someone, they might charge us extra money, or it might take them extra time. These people are like, right, pay this extra money, and we'll have you ready to launch in 2 months. 2 months comes, and then we still need to have further development. So
yeah,
we. Sorry, that actually happened. Sorry, that's my mistake there. That actually happened when we launched. So we launched the app only for tradespeople to start with.
Yeah.
And whilst we launched it, but it was fine. The tradesperson side of the app was fine. People could apply. People could set their profiles up on the app. That was absolutely fine. But then we were setting dummy companies up so that we could test through the companies, and that's when we encountered the problem. A couple of problems that needed to be rectified. So that's when we went back to them and said, right, we need these problems rectified. And they went, right, that's 36 grand. We were like, no. Yeah. We can't keep paying this money. So we would have ended up spending about £1 million with this company by this point.
So how did you find the company you're with? So did you switch to the company you're with now?
Yes.
And how did you find them? Because obviously you had a really bad experience.
Yeah, I had a terrible experience. So Matt again, he actually had a small app developed for his company, which is just like a clock in and clock out service I know it sounds crazy, but he's got a massive window cleaning company. It's like I think they turn over a couple of million or 1.6 million a year. So I think he was saying the other day it's the largest window cleaning company in the UK or something. But yeah, so he had an app developed by this company. I believe whilst we were getting this developed, I think he went to a separate company whilst we were having this developed, or he was starting it at the same time. But I already had a relationship with this company from the beginning when we paid that initial £8,000. So I was like, right, I want to work with this company. But in hindsight, we probably should have worked with these guys from the beginning. It probably what cost us maybe 220 grand or 240 grand to develop might have only cost us 150 grand or something like that, or 130 grand.
Yeah, yeah. It's annoying, frustrating.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually quite a big. It's more than that. It's like 100 grand's worth of annoyance, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, and all that lost effort and time, and you waking up in the morning at 2 a.m. and
Mate, that was the most draining. That was the most draining part of my life. Like, and not knowing what time they're going to message you as well, because sometimes it could be 2 a.m, sometimes it could be 6 a.m, sometimes it could be 4 a.m.
yeah,
But as soon as my phone was off, I was up, ready. Right, cool. What do they need? Okay, we did an answer on this, this, and this. Right, sweet. There's an answer. And then I think, oh, maybe I can go back to sleep for an hour. Your phone goes off again half an hour later. Okay, cool. It was literally like sleep deprivation for 9 months straight.
wow, blimey.
Yeah.
All right, so you found this other company through Matt, and then how was like transferring the app over? Was there any hassles transferring the app over because they had the source code and you didn't have access to it? And
Yeah. So the original company wrote all the code in Chinese.
right, so they'd written, yeah,
Of course.
So they'd written all the variable names and all the documentation, and everything was just in Chinese.
Whatever they done was everything was in Chinese. So the new development team had to find someone who was Chinese speaking, and then now we're actually getting the app rebuilt probably in a couple of months' time and having all the code rewritten in however what the normal code is. But yeah, everything was in Chinese. So this development team we've got now had to find someone who's Chinese speaking to help them add all the bits and pieces in which needed to be added in.
Wow,
It's obviously another time consuming task.
yeah, I mean. Probably easier now with AI because it'll translate everything probably automatically. But
Yeah.
it would have been a nightmare, right?
Yes, it's been extremely stressful, mate.
Yeah. So well, let's bring on. So the new team took over.
Yeah.
Obviously, everything was in Chinese. There was that problem. But was there anything else up? Like, did they say, "Oh, this has been architected in the wrong way and it won't support this going forward"? And
I think one of the big, not mistakes, but it's me not having any prior knowledge of technology.
Yeah.
Was, like I said earlier, thinking that something's possible when it is possible to do, but it's impossible for it to actually work. So I had the great idea of basically what I've done is I researched all the big apps like Uber, Deliveroo, etc. before I started to develop this and nicked some of the ideas. For Sharpish. So my idea was when you have a tradesperson starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, they'll get a notification on their phone, your job starts in an hour, and it will then track them from leaving their house to starting at your job. So like when you order a taxi off of Uber, you see that taxi coming towards you. Now my investor's like, yeah, that's great. I'm thinking in my head, yeah, this is unbelievable. But to have that idea to work, the app needs to be open on the tradesperson's phone the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And the tradesperson's not going to work with their app open. They want to be scrolling through Instagram or texting their friends or their girlfriend or whatever on their way to work. They don't want to be sat there with their phone like that, watching themselves go to work like an Uber driver. So the way we combated that was we've got a clock in and clock out system.
Right.
So when someone arrives at work, they'll clock in. It'll give a geofencing location to where that person's clocked in, and the same for the clock out. And then later on down the line, we'll do like a request. So if you want to know if someone's still at work, you click request where they are, and they can click check in, and they can check in at the correct location, hopefully.
Right. Yeah.
Unless they're Skyping.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's that classic. When you hire a builder, they're supposed to turn up on a day, and then they don't turn up for a week, and then.
Yeah,
they're on another job. That's usually the answer, but it might not be that. They just might not have the people to do the job.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So this new developer, everything's going really well with it. You had a few ideas that you couldn't deliver. But...
If we had that development team from the start, the job probably would have got done twice as quick for near enough half the price.
Yeah. And what do you think? I mean, other people in your position who are going and thinking about having an app built, what would you do differently, do you think, if you go back in time?
100% shop around for developers. And without a doubt, I was sort of it was a great salesman, I take it, the person who we ended up going with, because looking back, if we'd shopped around, we would have got maybe 4 or 5 quotes, and the price wouldn't have been anywhere near what we paid, and we probably would have got this is the problem. The development team was really good. So the people that were developing the app in China, every time they gave us an update, we're like, yes, this looks unbelievable. This looks great. This looks great. So the team, they were really good. They were just really expensive. So they didn't particularly make any mistakes, but the middleman, the company that got us involved with them, I think they just saw that we gave them 200 grand and was like, right, what corners can we cut so that we make a maximum profit? Probably paid the development team maybe 80 or 90 grand and pocketed the rest. They probably had 100% profit on the job. So yeah, definitely shop around and be prepared. Be prepared for a lot of stress if you don't find a good development team.
Do you think there were some questions that you would ask now that you didn't ask then?
I think where I'd planned before I paid that initial £8,000, I think I probably planned it out for like 3 months prior to that. So I had a very solid business plan of what needed to happen and what we needed to do. Even Matt, when I first met him, he was like, right, this is great. Like because he invests in other companies. He was like, a lot of people come to me and they've got their idea written down on the back of a cigarette packet, and they're like, oh, here's my idea, this is great. He's like, and he's thinking this is rubbish. He's like, he couldn't pick one problem or one flaw in the idea of the project. So that's why he was so keen to get involved.
Mm-hmm. So there wasn't, that, did you have an expectation you were going to be up in the middle of the night with the Chinese developers at the start?
No, not at all.
Would you kind of ask questions about that now?
Yeah, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that literally until we went to that point. So I suppose that's just me presuming, but I wouldn't have asked that question. Now I'd ask that question, yeah, because I know it's a possibility. But I didn't know the development team was going to be in China until probably maybe 3 weeks before they started developing it.
Oh, you didn't? So you wasn't even mentioned before?
And even then, I thought, oh, cool, they're just going to message me at like 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. But that wasn't the case.
Wow. Crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
What is next for Sharpish? What's like, where'd you go from here? Have you got a roadmap of features to deploy and develop?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. So we just had a very strange problem. So we've been on the Google Play Store for a year. We haven't been on the Google Play Store for a year, but we've had a developer's account for a year. And about 4 months ago, so just to go back, so January last year we went live for tradespeople. We've done that for 4 months. We've got like 950 tradespeople on the app. We then went live for companies. We've got some really good companies on there. Do you know the Co-op Live Arena up in Manchester?
Yeah, rings a bell, yeah.
So that's the largest arena in Europe now. We supplied something ridiculous, like 25 painters and decorators and 20 cable pullers / electricians for that job. And we actually got the email for that on a Saturday at 8 o'clock in the evening. And we had them 40 odd blokes there on the Monday morning. They were really impressed with us.
That's amazing.
So we've done some really big jobs, done a proof of concept, got some really good figures from that. Started speaking to investors, and they were like, "Yep, okay, everything looks good." Then the app goes off of Google Play. Just gets taken off. Just gets taken down off of Google Play.
Weird.
So we're messaging back and forth, and they're emailing us saying, "Oh, your addresses were on the documentation that you provided us, but we've supplied this documentation like a year ago."
Right.
So we're like, okay, it's very strange. They're like, can you supply us with some proof of address? So I supplied them with a company's house letter, supply them with a bank statement. We're not accepting it. And we're like, okay, this is strange. And then literally about 2.5 weeks ago, okay, yeah, we're happy with your proof of address. Your app's gone back onto the App Store.
Weird.
Really, really strange. But yeah, so that's hindered us. where we were going for investment, and then the people that were looking to invest have obviously looked and thought, well, we've been taken down off of the App Store, so now we're looking to raise another £500,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the next steps is raise some investment, get a team built, and do some good marketing, I suppose.
Yeah, get some more people using it. I mean, you've got quite a few people using the app already, though.
We've got 1,000 people on the app, but where the app was off of Google Play, we've had to completely stop getting any jobs on there because we can't run an app that's only available on iPhone.
Yeah.
Because if someone posts a job in London and they're looking for 5 labourers, and they post out to the 300 labourers that we've got available in London, and half of them are on Google Play, half of them aren't going to get the message.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You need to be on both platforms. You can't just run an app on one platform.
Yeah. And
it might be the same. The person who owns the company might have an Android phone and is unable to use the app. So we had to essentially shut the platform down for like 3 months.
That is frustrating. But
unbelievable.
Got that one behind you now, so that's all good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So
and so you're looking for investment,
yeah.
And then you'll be adding some more features to the app.
Yeah, there's a bundle of features. So, like I said before, obviously adding the request to track the location.
Yeah,
that'll be added onto there. There's loads of bits and pieces that we want to add. I won't give too much away because I don't want people copying the idea.
Don't.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's great to hear. It's great to hear your story.
We've got a list of probably for the next year or 2 years of features that we're going to add into it.
Yeah. Well, look, Matt, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It's been fascinating. And I don't think we've had anyone on the podcast so far who's been quite as open and transparent about the pain of actually getting software built. It's difficult. It's not easy, especially if you've not got, as you said, a technical background. It's
it's very tough.
Yeah.
I think I'm a poster child for persistence beats resistance, mate. You've got to be very, very resilient when it comes to building these apps. Yeah, you have definitely.
And you definitely need to shop around, and you definitely need to find people who are transparent about how they're going to get the software built. I think that's what is coming across. Well, look, Matt, so thank you so much for being on the podcast. Really enjoyed it. I think everyone who's going to listen to this is going to get a lot from it. And just wish you all the best for the future and Sharpish.
Spot on, excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Software Meets Business, the podcast sponsored by Head Channel. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and review on your preferred platform.